Do you know what's funny? The same people who ignored you yesterday suddenly started calculating your every move today. They laughed when you were silent. They doubted when you were struggling. But the moment you started rising, everyone pulled out their calculators. See, targeting me wasn't bravery. It was a fatal error, because pressure doesn't break legends. It creates them. And while they were busy planning my downfall, I was busy becoming unstoppable. There's something dangerous about a person who stays silent while everyone else is making noise. Most people mistake silence for weakness because they have been trained to believe confidence must always be loud. They think power is proven through arguments, attention, and constant explanations. But real preparation doesn't announce itself. Real preparation happens in darkness, away from applause, away from validation, away from people who only support success after they finally see it. Silence is where transformation begins. While others waste energy talking about their dreams, silent people are building theirs. They are studying, improving, failing, learning, and sharpening themselves without needing the world to clap for every small step. That's what makes silence dangerous. Nobody notices the growth until it becomes impossible to stop. People only see the final result, but they never see the lonely nights, the pressure, the sacrifices, or the mental battles fought in complete isolation. The world respects visible success, but invisible struggle is where greatness is created. A seed grows underground before it ever breaks through the surface. Nobody applauds the seed while it's buried in darkness, yet that hidden process is the reason the tree eventually becomes powerful. Human beings are no different. The strongest version of a person is built when nobody is watching. Silence also protects focus. Every time you announce your plans too early, you invite opinions, doubts, and distractions into your mind. Some people will laugh. Some will discourage you. Some will secretly hope you fail because your growth reminds them of their own excuses. That's why silence becomes a shield. It protects your vision from negative energy. It allows you to move without needing approval. A silent person learns things that loud people never understand. They learn patience. They learn discipline. They learn emotional control. Anyone can react emotionally when attacked, insulted, or underestimated, but staying calm. While preparing your comeback requires a different level of strength. Silence teaches you how to absorb pressure without collapsing under it. It teaches you how to remain focused even when nobody believes in you. People often underestimate silent individuals because they confuse calmness with incapability. They think if someone isn't constantly showing off, then they must not be dangerous. That assumption becomes their biggest mistake. History has always shown that the most powerful moves happen quietly. Storms don't announce themselves before they arrive. Earthquakes don't ask for attention before they shake the ground. In the same way, true transformation happens silently until one day the results become impossible to ignore. There's another reason silence is deadly preparation. It builds mental toughness. When nobody encourages you, you learn how to encourage yourself. When nobody supports you, you discover self-belief. When nobody notices your effort, you develop discipline that doesn't depend on motivation. Most people only work hard when someone is watching. Silent grinders work hard because they made a promise to themselves. The loudest people in the room are often trying to prove something. The silent ones are usually too busy becoming something. They understand that energy spent on talking is energy stolen from progress. They don't chase attention because they are focused on results, and results always speak louder than words. Silence also creates mystery. People become uncomfortable when they cannot predict you. They become nervous when they don't know your next move. A person who constantly explains themselves becomes easy to read. But a silent person keeps everyone guessing. That uncertainty creates power. While others are distracted trying to figure you out, you continue improving without interruption. Many people quit because they need instant recognition. They want rewards before the work is complete. Silence forces you to continue even without immediate results. It trains you to trust the process. That's why silent preparation often produces unstoppable individuals. They didn't rely on applause to continue. They relied on purpose. And when the moment finally arrives, the same people who ignored the silence become shocked by the outcome. Suddenly they ask, "How did this happen?" But the truth is, the victory started long before anyone noticed. It started during the silent mornings, the exhausting nights, the hidden sacrifices, self-doubt that was conquered privately, and the discipline practiced repeatedly without recognition. Because silence was never emptiness. Silence was construction. Silence was strategy. Silence was survival. Silence was preparation. People become uncomfortable when they see growth they cannot control. It shakes them because your progress reminds them that limits are often self-created. The moment someone starts evolving beyond expectations, reactions begin to change. At first, people ignore you because they assume you will stay the same forever. Then they laugh because they don't believe you can actually improve. But when your growth becomes real, visible, and undeniable, fear slowly replaces their laughter. Human beings naturally feel safe around predictability. They like knowing who is weaker, who stays behind, and who never changes. It makes them feel secure. But growth destroys predictability. The moment you begin improving mentally, emotionally, financially, or physically, people around you start feeling uncertain because they can no longer place you in the same category they once did. Some people don't fear your success itself. They fear the fact that they can no longer control the story they created about you. They became comfortable believing you were ordinary, weak, or incapable. Your growth becomes proof that they were wrong. And for many people, accepting they were wrong is more painful than supporting your success. That's why growth often attracts resistance before it attracts respect. The moment you begin changing, people start questioning you. They ask why you've become different. They criticize your discipline. They mock your ambition. They try to pull you back toward the version of yourself that made them comfortable. Not because your growth is bad, but because your growth forces them to confront their own lack of progress. There's something powerful about watching someone rise silently after being underestimated. It creates tension in people who once ignored them. Suddenly, the person they overlooked starts becoming disciplined, focused, confident, and unstoppable. That transformation threatens anyone who relied on your weakness to feel stronger about themselves. Growth also exposes fake support. Many people claim they want to see others succeed, but only as long as that success remains smaller than their own. The moment your progress begins to outshine theirs, their energy changes. Compliments become silence. Support becomes distance. Encouragement becomes hidden competition. This happens because insecure people don't celebrate growth they cannot compete with. A controlled person is easy for others to manage. If someone lacks confidence, they can be manipulated through fear and doubt. If someone constantly seeks validation, they become dependent on approval. But growth changes that. The more a person evolves, the harder they become to influence. We stop accepting disrespect. They stop shrinking themselves for comfort. They stop asking permission to chase bigger goals. That independence scares people who benefited from your insecurity. They preferred the version of you that stayed quiet, doubted themselves, and settled for less. The moment you begin recognizing your own worth, you become difficult to control, and people often attack what they cannot control. There's also jealousy hidden inside human nature. Not always loud jealousy, but silent jealousy. The kind where someone smiles in front of you, but secretly feels disturbed by your progress. They compare your growth to their stagnation. They question why you're succeeding while they remain stuck. Instead of using your success as inspiration, they allow it to become frustration. That's why strong growth often requires emotional distance. Not everyone deserves access to your journey. Some people only watch so they can criticize every mistake. Others wait for failure because your success threatens the excuses they tell themselves. Protecting your energy becomes necessary when your vision becomes bigger. The interesting thing about growth is that it changes more than your results. It changes your mindset. You stop chasing temporary approval. You become more selective with your time, your circle, and your focus. You realize that discipline matters more than motivation. You stop needing everyone to understand your path because you finally understand it yourself. As confidence grows, fear begins disappearing. And fearless. People are difficult to control. They don't fold under pressure easily. They don't break from criticism quickly. They become emotionally stronger because they spent time fighting internal battles nobody saw. That inner strength creates an energy people notice immediately. Some individuals will try to slow your growth because they are afraid of being left behind. Others will try to compete with you because your progress hurts their pride. Some will even pretend to support you while secretly hoping you fail. But none of that changes the truth that growth is unstoppable once a person becomes fully committed to it. Because real growth changes the way a person walks, thinks, speaks, reacts, and survives. It creates confidence without arrogance. It creates focus without distraction. It creates strength without noise. And the moment people realize they can no longer control your mindset, your direction, or your future, their fear becomes visible. Most people pray for an easy life because they think comfort is the path to happiness. They avoid pressure, run from struggle, and fear pain as if difficulty automatically destroys a person. But reality teaches something completely different. Pressure does not always break people. Sometimes pressure reveals who they truly are. Sometimes pressure creates strength that comfort could never produce. A diamond is not created without pressure. Steel is not forged without fire. Even the strongest human minds are shaped through challenges they once thought would destroy them. Every powerful individual carries scars from battles nobody fully understands. Behind every fearless person is a history of pain, rejection, pressure, and survival. Weakness often grows in comfort. When life becomes too easy, discipline disappears. Hunger fades. Focus weakens. People stop pushing themselves because nothing forces them to evolve. But pressure changes everything. Pressure demands adaptation. It forces the mind to grow stronger, faster, more focused. Under pressure, excuses lose value because survival becomes more important than comfort. The interesting thing about pressure is that it exposes reality. Fake confidence disappears quickly when real struggles arrive. People who only look strong during easy moments often collapse the moment life becomes difficult. But those who learn how to survive pressure develop something rare: resilience. And resilience creates individuals who become almost impossible to destroy. Every setback carries a lesson hidden inside it. Every betrayal teaches awareness. Every failure teaches strategy. Every painful experience teaches emotional control. The people who become mentally powerful are not the people who avoided pain. They are the people who learned how to use pain as fuel. Pressure changes the way a person thinks. It forces them to discover strengths they never knew existed. A person may spend years doubting themselves until life places them in a difficult situation where giving up is no longer an option. In those moments, hidden strength appears. Survival instincts activate. Focus sharpens. Fear becomes smaller than determination. Many legends were created during their darkest seasons. Not when life was easy, but when everything seemed impossible. Athletes become stronger through exhausting training sessions. Soldiers become tougher through brutal conditions. Leaders become wiser through failures and criticism. Greatness has never been built through comfort alone. Pressure also builds emotional control. Anyone can smile during easy times, but remaining calm while life attacks you from every direction requires real strength. The ability to stay focused during chaos separates ordinary people from extraordinary ones. Some individuals panic under pressure, while others become sharper. They think clearer, move smarter, and fight harder because difficulty activates their strongest side. There's a reason some of the most dangerous people are the ones who suffered silently. They learned how to survive alone. They learned how to keep moving while carrying emotional weight nobody noticed. They learned how to continue despite fear, doubt, exhaustion, and disappointment. That kind of survival creates a mindset that cannot be easily shaken. Pressure also destroys illusions. It reveals who truly supports you and who only stays around during easy times. During difficult moments, fake loyalty disappears. Weak relationships collapse. Empty words lose meaning. Pressure forces truth into the open. While painful, this process creates clarity. It removes distractions and reveals what actually matters. Some people become bitter after experiencing pain. Others become stronger. The difference is mindset. One person sees pressure as punishment, while another sees it as preparation. One quits when life becomes difficult, while another adapts and keeps fighting. The strongest individuals understand that struggle is temporary, but the strength gained from surviving it can last forever. Fear also changes under pressure. At first, difficult situations seem terrifying, but after surviving enough battles, fear loses its control. A person who has already survived pain becomes harder to intimidate. They understand that they can survive more than they once believed possible. That realization creates confidence that cannot be faked. Pressure creates discipline because difficult situations demand consistency. When life becomes challenging, motivation alone is not enough. A person must continue even when exhausted, discouraged, or emotionally drained. That repeated endurance builds mental toughness over time. The mind adapts to carrying heavier burdens. What once felt impossible slowly becomes manageable. People often admire strength without understanding its price. They see confidence without seeing the suffering behind it. They see success without seeing the sacrifices, sleepless nights, failures, and pressure that shaped it. Strong people are rarely born strong. Most are created through experiences that force them to evolve or collapse. And sometimes pressure creates something even more powerful than strength. It creates fearlessness. A person who has survived enough storms stops fearing rain. A person who has been broken before stops fearing pain the same way others do. They understand that survival is possible even in darkness, because pressure changes people. It hardens weak minds. It sharpens focus. It destroys illusions. Exposes character. And for those willing to endure it, pressure creates monsters the world never saw coming. Doubt can destroy a person if they allow it to control their mind. It whispers fear into every dream, weakens confidence, and convinces people to quit before they even begin. Most people experience doubt and immediately slow down. They become afraid of failure, afraid of judgment, afraid of looking foolish in front of others. But sometimes, doubt creates the opposite effect. Sometimes, doubt becomes fuel. There's something powerful about being underestimated. When people expect nothing from you, they stop paying attention. They assume you are incapable, ordinary, or destined to remain average forever. Their doubt becomes visible through their words, their actions, and the way they look at you. Some laugh at your goals. Some question your abilities. Others silently wait for your failure because it makes them feel more secure about their own limitations. At first, doubt hurts. It creates frustration because every human being wants recognition and belief from others. Nobody enjoys being ignored or dismissed, but pain has a strange ability to transform people. Some collapse under criticism, while others become obsessed with proving themselves. That obsession creates energy. And energy directed with focus becomes power. The strongest fuel often comes from emotional pain. People who were doubted, rejected, or overlooked carry a different level of hunger inside them. They work harder because they remember every moment they were underestimated. They stay disciplined because they refuse to return to the version of themselves people once mocked. Every insult becomes motivation. Every rejection becomes a reason to improve. Doubt forces a person to either quit or evolve. There is no middle ground. A person can accept the negative opinions around them and stay trapped in insecurity, or they can use those opinions as proof that they have something bigger to fight for. Some of the most successful individuals in history were once doubted by nearly everyone around them. Their ideas were criticized. Their abilities were questioned. Their dreams seemed unrealistic. But instead of allowing doubt to destroy them, they used it as fire. There's also a hidden advantage in being doubted. When nobody expects success from you, you move without pressure from outside expectations. People stop watching closely. They stop believing you're capable of anything extraordinary. That creates freedom. While others underestimate you, you quietly improve in silence. Doubt also strengthens mental endurance. Hearing criticism repeatedly forces a person to develop emotional toughness. They learn how to continue without approval. They learn how to trust their own vision even when nobody else understands it. That ability becomes dangerous because self-belief is one of the strongest forms of power a human being can possess. Many people only believe in themselves after others validate them. But individuals shaped by doubt become different. They learn how to continue alone. They become less dependent on applause, encouragement, or recognition. Their confidence slowly shifts from external validation to internal certainty. They stop asking for permission to dream bigger. The pain of being underestimated creates discipline. While others waste time doubting you, you begin working harder. While they criticize your goals, you sharpen your skills. While they laugh at your ambition, you build consistency. Over time, their doubt unknowingly pushes you toward growth they never expected. Doubt can also create focus. Once a person experiences enough rejection, distractions lose importance. Petty opinions become meaningless compared to the mission ahead. The desire to rise above limitations becomes stronger than temporary comfort. That level of focus separates ordinary individuals from relentless ones. Some people become addicted to proving others wrong. Every negative comment becomes another reason to keep going. Every moment of disrespect becomes stored energy waiting to be released through achievement. They remember exactly how it felt when nobody believed in them, and that memory becomes impossible to ignore. The world often respects people only after they succeed. Before success, confidence is called arrogance. Ambition is called unrealistic. Vision is called foolishness. But once results appear, the same doubters suddenly change their attitude. The people who laughed begin acting supportive. The critics become silent. The energy shifts because success forces people to recognize what they once ignored. There's something satisfying about growth built through doubt because it creates authentic confidence. A person who succeeded despite criticism becomes mentally stronger than someone who was supported from the beginning. They survived emotional battles internally before they ever achieved anything externally. That process creates resilience. Doubt also teaches independence. When support disappears, a person learns how to rely on themselves. They stop waiting for others to understand their journey. They realize that belief from the outside world is temporary, but self-belief can carry them through almost anything. Over time, the same doubt that once caused pain becomes motivation. The same criticism that once hurt becomes fuel during difficult moments. The same rejection that once created insecurity becomes proof of survival. A person shaped by doubt learns how to convert negative energy into progress. Because sometimes the people who were doubted the most become the most unstoppable. Not because life was easy for them, but because every moment of disbelief forced them to grow stronger, think bigger, work harder, and fight longer than anyone expected. Every attack carries information. Every insult, betrayal, criticism, or attempt to break you reveals something important, not only about the people attacking you, also about the strength hidden inside you. Most people see attacks as obstacles meant to destroy them. They become emotional, distracted, and overwhelmed by negativity. But attacks often expose power that would have remained invisible without pressure. Nobody truly knows how strong they are until life forces them to fight. Comfort hides potential. Easy situations create illusions, but attacks remove illusions quickly. They force a person into survival mode, and survival mode reveals character. Some collapse immediately under pressure, while others awaken something dangerous inside themselves. There's a reason many powerful people have dark histories filled with rejection, betrayal, and struggle. Those attacks became part of their transformation. Every difficult experience sharpened them mentally and emotionally. Every battle increased their awareness, discipline, and resilience. The attacks that were meant to weaken them accidentally created stronger versions of them. Pain changes perspective. A person who has never been attacked emotionally often remains naive about the world. They trust too easily, speak too openly, and underestimate how cruel people can become. But betrayal teaches awareness. Criticism teaches emotional control. Opposition teaches strategy. Every attack becomes a lesson if a person chooses growth instead of bitterness. Sometimes people attack you because they sense potential before you even recognize it yourself. Strong individuals often become targets, precisely because their energy threatens insecure minds. Confidence, ambition, discipline, and growth make some people uncomfortable. Instead of improving themselves, they try to pull others down. Attacks become their defense mechanism against someone rising beyond their reach. The interesting thing about attacks is that they force adaptation. A person who experiences repeated challenges begins developing stronger mental habits. They become more focused, more disciplined, and more emotionally guarded. Weakness slowly disappears because survival requires evolution. The attacks unknowingly train them for larger battles ahead. Every painful experience also reveals hidden endurance. Many people think they are weak until they survive situations they once believed impossible. Emotional pain stretches the mind beyond comfort. It teaches patience during chaos. It teaches calmness during pressure. It teaches persistence during exhaustion. That process reveals inner power most people never discover during easy times. Attacks also expose loyalty. Difficult moments reveal who truly supports you and who only stayed around when life was comfortable. Fake friendships collapse under pressure. Temporary support disappears when challenges arrive. While painful, this truth becomes valuable because it removes illusions. A person learns who deserves trust and who was only pretending. Some attacks come through words. Others come through actions. Some people attack through disrespect, jealousy, manipulation, or silence. But every attack reveals the attacker's mindset more than the victim's worth. People often project their insecurities onto others. They attack confidence because they lack it. They attack ambition because they abandon their own dreams. They attack growth because it reminds them of their stagnation. The strongest individuals eventually stop taking attacks personally. Instead, they begin studying them. They ask themselves why certain reactions exist. Analyze the fear, insecurity, or envy behind the behavior. This emotional intelligence creates power because controlled minds are difficult to manipulate. Attacks can also create fearlessness over time. A person who survives enough criticism stops fearing opinions. A person who survives betrayal stops depending on blind trust. A person who survives failure stops fearing mistakes. Repeated battles slowly remove emotional fragility. The mind adapts to pain and becomes stronger through exposure. There's a hidden confidence that comes from surviving difficult situations. It cannot be faked because it was earned through experience. A person who has already faced darkness becomes calmer during future storms. They understand survival differently than someone who has never suffered deeply. Some people expected attacks to destroy you completely. They believed pressure would make you quit, doubt yourself, or disappear quietly. But survival changes the story the moment a person continues. Moving despite pain, attacks lose power. The same people who tried to break them begin realizing they created someone mentally stronger instead. Every battle leaves behind lessons. Every setback reveals weaknesses that need improvement. Every criticism forces reflection. Every betrayal teaches caution. Every failure teaches strategy. Over time, a person becomes sharper because life repeatedly forced adaptation. Attacks also reveal emotional discipline. Anyone can stay positive during peaceful moments, but maintaining focus while being targeted requires another level of control. The ability to remain calm under pressure creates a powerful presence. People begin noticing that negativity no longer shakes you the way they expected. There's also something dangerous about a person who turns pain into progress. Instead of becoming distracted by revenge, they become focused on growth. Instead of wasting energy arguing, they invest energy improving. That mindset creates unstoppable momentum. Because attacks stop slowing them down and start accelerating their evolution. And eventually, the attacks that once felt painful become evidence of transformation. The criticism becomes motivation. The betrayal becomes awareness. The pressure becomes discipline. The struggle becomes strength. Every attack leaves behind proof that survival was possible, and power was always waiting to be discovered underneath the pressure. People often believe attacking someone is a sign of power. They think targeting another person, doubting them, humiliating them, or trying to break their confidence makes them stronger. In reality, attacking the wrong person can become the biggest mistake they ever make, especially when the person they targeted was already carrying hidden strength, silent ambition, and a hunger created through struggle. Many individuals attack others because they assume weakness. They judge someone based on silence, kindness, failures, or temporary setbacks. They believe calm people are harmless. They think quiet individuals lack power because they don't constantly seek attention. But underestimating someone is dangerous because appearances rarely reveal the full story. Some people are fighting battles internally that nobody sees. They are carrying pain, pressure, rejection, and disappointment while still continuing forward every day. That silent survival creates resilience, and resilience creates dangerous people. The strongest minds are often built through suffering nobody ever noticed. When someone decides to target a person who has already survived difficult experiences, they unknowingly awaken something powerful. Pressure no longer scares that person because they have already endured worse situations privately. Criticism loses impact because they have spent years doubting themselves harder than anyone else ever could. Fear becomes weaker because survival already taught them what pain feels like. That's why targeting the wrong person becomes a fatal mistake. The attack that was meant to destroy them instead activates their deepest strengths. Suddenly, the quiet person becomes focused. The underestimated person becomes disciplined. The rejected person becomes relentless. The same energy meant to weaken them becomes fuel for transformation. Most people expect attacks to create fear. They expect criticism to create insecurity. They expect betrayal to create emotional collapse. But sometimes the opposite happens. Sometimes attacks remove hesitation. A person who feels they have nothing left to lose becomes extremely dangerous because fear stops controlling their decisions. There's also a psychological shift that happens when someone is repeatedly targeted. At first, they may feel hurt, confused, or angry. But eventually, survival instincts take over. Their mindset changes from seeking acceptance to seeking growth. They stop wasting energy trying to please everyone. They stop needing validation from people who never supported them anyway. That independence creates confidence. The world often ignores people until they become impossible to ignore. Before success, ambition is mocked, discipline is misunderstood, confidence is criticized. But attacks force some people into self-discovery. They begin realizing how much strength they truly possess. And once someone fully recognizes their own power, controlling them becomes nearly impossible. A person who survives constant negativity develops sharp awareness. They learn how to read people better. They notice fake loyalty faster. They understand manipulation, jealousy, and hidden intentions more clearly because experience taught them painful lessons. That awareness makes them stronger, emotionally and mentally. Targeting someone can also create obsession. Not obsession with revenge, but obsession with improvement. Every insult becomes motivation to work harder. Every moment of disrespect becomes fuel to achieve more. Every doubt becomes another reason to prove possibilities beyond expectations. The attacks accidentally create discipline that may never have existed otherwise. Some individuals become stronger specifically because life forced them into difficult situations. They didn't choose pain, betrayal, or rejection, but they adapted to it. Over time, adaptation becomes strength. Strength becomes confidence. Confidence becomes fearlessness. And fearless people are difficult to stop because they no longer depend on comfort to continue moving forward. People also underestimate emotional endurance. They assume visible pain means weakness. They mistake calmness for surrender. But many strong individuals remain silent not because they are defeated, but because they are observing, learning, and preparing. While others celebrate temporary victories, silent people are building long-term strength. The irony is that attacks often reveal more about the attacker than the target. Insecure people attack confidence because they lack it themselves. Jealous people attack progress because they feel trapped in their own stagnation. Weak minds attack strong minds because they feel threatened by growth they cannot control. But the targeted person eventually changes through the process. Struggle sharpens focus. Pressure strengthens discipline. Pain deepens self-awareness. The person who once doubted themselves begins realizing they survive situations designed to break them. That realization creates inner power. There's something dangerous about a person who transforms suffering into momentum. Instead of becoming bitter, they become stronger. Instead of collapsing emotionally, they become disciplined. Instead of seeking revenge, they seek elevation. Every challenge becomes another layer of growth, and eventually the same people who targeted them begin regretting it. Not because the targeted person became cruel, but because they became unstoppable. The attacks failed to destroy them. The pressure failed to break them. The doubt failed to weaken them. Instead, every attempt to bring them down became part of the process that built their confidence, sharpened their mindset, and awakened the strength nobody believed they possessed.